Let me start sharing the screen. Please let me know once the screen is visible to you. I hope the screen is visible. Okay, so till now, we have discussed the introduction to Power BI, the introduction to high-level architecture of how the business intelligence goes around in most of the organizations. And we looked at what are the components of Power BI, what are the building blocks of Power BI, and then we looked into how to install the Power BI in your system. And then we looked at the basic GUI of how the Power BI works and the workflow in the Power BI. And we also discussed how to bring the data from different sources into Power BI. We discussed about the various storage modes in Power BI, namely uh, the import mode, the direct query mode, and the live connection. And there's also one more mode, which is called composite mode. So this is all done. And then we started the introduction to Power Query Editor, which is the in-house ETL tool of Power BI. And within Power Query Editor, till now, we have done many transformations. Okay. And this, what you see here, is nothing but those transformations which we were able to do with the file that we got into Power Query Editor, which is orders 2017. So basically, this is a sales transactions table. Okay. And if you look at this table, how it was earlier, it from when we got it from the source, it used to look like this. And after all the transformations that we did on it, it actually looks like this, which is a more cleaner version of this file. Okay, so let me just review what all we did in this step by step. Okay, so first of all, we got it from just a CSV file. Okay, it was a CSV document which was stored in my local. Okay, and that we imported, and then we removed the top four rows, because if you look at this, the top four rows are almost as good as useless. So we removed top four rows, and then we found out that this particular row is nothing but the column header. So we promoted it and made it the column header. And then we removed the blank rows, the rows which were completely blank with all the columns. And then we filtered the rows. What exactly we filtered, if you want to have a look at it, just see here. We filtered where the values were NA. Okay, so NA values were filtered. Then we found out there are some duplicate rows altogether. So we removed the duplicates, and we again filtered the rows. We filtered some values here. Let me, yeah, if we remove the duplicates, okay, and then we removed certain columns which we thought were unnecessary or useless columns, okay, and again it filtered the rows, which we again removed some columns which we thought were not useful for us, and then again we filtered the rows. Then we changed the data type, okay, and by changing the data type, what I mean is establishing the data type. For example, the order ID should be whole number, prod ID should be string, store ID is a combination of string and the number, so that's why it will be string. And then again, order date will be a date data type, okay. Then we replace some values, again replaced values, change the data type, okay. And again, we change the data type of date, that is delivery date, with different local, okay. So this is all that we did till now, okay. So let's start working a further bit into Power Query Editor. And yeah, to do that, let's try to bring one more file, okay, one more file into this already existing PBIX of ours. So what I'll do, I'll go to new source, and again, I'll be bringing the text or CSV file, that is this one, okay. And now I'll be bringing the file called as store locations. Open, and then it will be loaded into this. And prior to loading, it will just give a preview of what the file actually looks like. Okay. So if you have a look at it, it has these many columns and it has certain details. So first of all, let me bring it in by clicking OK. And now I have the store locations, okay? And the naming I can change by just double clicking here and typing the name. Just make it store space locations. That's it. Okay. Now, if you look at this file as a whole, okay, now the first thing that we can observe here is that the first row that you're seeing here, those are actually not the records, but those are the column headers. If you see store ID, store type ID, store size, city ID, state, abbreviation, state, and city, these are all nothing but these are supposed to be the column headers. Okay, so let's make them column headers by just clicking on this tab, that is use first row as headers. Once you do that, the first row will be promoted to headers, as simple as that. Okay, and yeah, now what I'll do is I'll just go to the store size column. Okay, now if you look at this, okay, and yeah, let's try to actually establish the data types. Okay, now if you look at store ID, what do you think is the data type of this, the store ID column? Yeah,
It's I mean text.
string, because since it's a combination of the alphabet as well as number, so it is supposed to be string. Okay,
Yes.
and same is the case with this as well. Okay, and now if you look at the store size, it again is string. But the thing is that if you want to do certain analysis or certain presentation on what I mean based on the store sizes or some graph which makes use of the store size column as well, in that case you need the store size to be string or a number.
Number.
It should be a number, right? And in order to make it as a number, what can be done in this case? Yes.
Can remove um, the meter
Yes.
square and change the data type to number.
We can remove the
Um, Meter square and
yeah. Basically, what we need to do is we need to remove the part which is there here. Okay. Apart from the number, we have the string part as well. If we are able to remove the string, then we can convert this to a number data type or whole number data type. Okay. So in order to do that, there is one option here. If I go to, first I need to select this column, and then if I go to transform tab, okay, there's a thing called as extract. Now, here what I'll do is I'll extract only the number part in this. And how will I be able to do that? If you look at all the values, the number parts are nothing but the ones before the space. If you have a look at it, the part which comes before the space in it is a number. Okay, so I'll go to extract, and then among the extract option, what I'll choose is the text before delimiter. Okay, I'll click on that, and then I need to mention the delimiter. Now, what do you think will be the delimiter here? Yes.
I mean before space we need to extract. So
Yeah, so the delimiter would be space itself.
yes.
Okay, the space is the delimiter. I'll enter the space here and click on OK. Now you see the number part has been extracted. Okay, basically the text before delimiter has been extracted. Okay, and now if you see all the values are, if you want to have a look at it, all these values are numbers basically. Now what I can do, I can convert this to whole number, and let me check, is it all whole numbers or do we have any decimals into it? No, there's no decimals, so it's just whole numbers. Okay, and I'll just make it whole number. Okay, but there's one more thing, one more problem with this column now. Can you tell me what is it? store size 19, store size 28. If someone has a look at this column, he won't understand the units that we are talking about here. I mean, we cannot mention to someone that the store size is 28, right? I mean, is it a 28 square feet or whatever it is, we have to mention. And in order to mention that, what I'll do, I'll just rename the column name here. Okay, I'll just double click on this, and in bracket, I'll make it SQ, that is square meter, so that we have these values here. Now this completely makes sense. Okay. Now this is store size, which is of a whole number data type. That's correct. And then if I look at the city ID, it is a combination of alphabets as well as numbers. So it is correctly mentioned as a string. That's fine. Now, the next thing here is the column which is giving us the state abbreviation, then the state name and the city name where the store is existing. Okay. Now, if you have a look at it, the AR in this is the abbreviation for Arkansas. Okay. And Arkansas is actually the state, and the city is Hot Springs National Park. Okay. Same is the case with all the records. First comes the state abbreviation, then the state itself, and the city in which the store is present. Okay. So let's say, okay, now let's presume the business end asks us to include all this data in not a single column, but make separate columns for the same. Meaning, the business end wants separate column for state abbreviation, then state, and then city. Okay. And how do we do that? Okay. So the thing is that here there's an option that is split column. Okay. Now, if I click on split column, there are various options in it. Now, we have split by number of characters, split by position, split by lowercase to uppercase to lowercase, digit to non-digit, non-digit to digit. But what I can use here is the split by delimiter thing. Now, if I use split by delimiter, now can you tell me what is the delimiter that I can mention here? Yes. Have a clear look at this. Tell me, what do you think will be the delimiter in this case?
Can you use, I mean,
Come again?
like you can use space
Then, that's,
and
I mean, just have a look at it. What's the thing that is separating AR and Arkansas? What is it?
yeah, I mean dash, that small
Yeah,
dash.
it's a dash, right? The
Yes.
thing is, if it's a dash, but also you can observe before the dash, there is one space.
A small space, and after that,
After the dash, there's one more space. So the actual delimiter here would be space dash space. Okay? And I want this to split at each occurrence of this delimiter. Okay, so once I do that, I'll just click on OK. And now you see we have three separate columns for these three separate entities, that is state abbreviation, state, and city. Now I can just rename these columns. So I'll call this state or simply ST, then this should be state, and this would be city. That's it. So yeah, so this is how we got these records separately in different columns. Okay. Now, one more thing. Here, if you look at the last column, that is latitude or longitude. Again, the business end, let's say they want the latitude and longitudes to be mentioned separately in different columns. Also, the business end wants the data types of latitude and longitudes to be numbers. Then how would we do that? First of all, we need to split this column, that is split by delimiter again. And in this case, the delimiter would be what? space
Space slash
slash
space.
space slash this. Okay. And then this column is what?
Lat
Latitude. And the second one being
longitude.
longitude. That's it. And now what I can do is I can just simply convert these data types into, let me make it a decimal number, okay? So decimal number for this, and decimal number for this column as well. And that's it, okay? So the transformation of this table is completely done, okay? Any doubts till now?
No doubts.
Yeah, great. So just a second. Uh, uh, Let me just clearly have a look at it once again. Um, it seems to be fine. And then let me just have a look at the values. It's fine. Then let me just, yeah, this is fine as well. Let me just try and upload this data into Power BI Desktop and let me check whether we encounter any errors. Okay. So in order to make sure that you apply all these steps and then load the data into Power BI, all you need to do is click on close and apply. Okay. And then you can know whether the data that is loading is correct or not. Okay. Just a second. Yeah. So if you see, this data has been loaded into Power BI Desktop. And in the Power BI Desktop, in the table view, you can clearly see there are two tables. One is order 2017, which was the previous one. And the second one is the store location, which we brought just now. Okay. So yeah, these two tables have been loaded correctly. Okay. And then let me just try bringing one more table now. Okay. So I'll just go to home. Okay. And then I'll go to get the data. Okay. See, the get data part, you can do it by being in Power BI Desktop as well as by being in the other window that is Power Query Editor. So yeah. So this time I'll try to get the data from Power BI Desktop. And here, I'll go to new source, again, text.csv. And this time I'll try to bring the data that is product details. Okay. I'll click on product details, I'll click on open. And now, yeah, if you see, this is a table related to the products, okay? And if you look at it, you can clearly see that it needs a bit of transformation as well. Okay, the first thing that you can observe here is that the column headers are not actually the column headers. The column headers are actually the first four values. Okay, so that is the least transformation that is required in this. And there are some further things that we'll discuss in this. Okay, and to do the transformation, we need to click on transform data so that it takes us to Power Query Editor. So I'll click on transform data. Now you see the new window will open. That is the window belonging to Power Query Editor, where we can do the transformations as we did for earlier tables. Okay. So the first thing that needs to be done here is use first row as headers. So that's what I'll do. First row is header now. Okay. And now let's just try to have a look at the data that this table is trying to present us. Okay. So yeah, first let me just rename it as product space details. Done. And thereafterwards, I'll just try to have a look at the different columns that come along with it. So if you see, the first column is product ID, which is a unique identifier for each and every product, basically primary key. So its data type is a string, since it's a combination of alphabet and numbers. So this completely makes sense. And let's have a look at the second column, that is product brand. this basically is the product's brand's name. Okay, and hence it is the string value. Again, makes sense. Then third column we have as the product type. So what kind of product is it? So it's the detail of that aspect. Okay, and again that also is a string, makes sense. Then we have this column that is length, depth, and width of the product, which is in centimeter, and it is mentioned like this: 5 into 12 into 12, 5 into 20 into 12, which means 5 is the length, 20 is the depth, and 12 centimeter is the width. Okay, and then again we have one more column that is telling you about the category and subcategory that the product belongs to. So if you see, the category for this particular record is fruits and vegetables, whereas the subcategory is herbs and seasonings. Okay, so this is all the thing. And what I need to do is, if you look at the product brand column, okay, if you look at the product brand column, you can see there are some unnecessary spaces and tabs in it. Okay, so especially if you look at the starting records, okay, this one, maybe this one, this one. So these records, they have some unwanted characters, control characters, maybe space or tabs, okay, and we want to remove those. Okay, and how to do that? It's quite simple. Okay. What you need to do is you need to use some text-based functionality that is there in Power Query Editor. Okay, and let's try to do that now. Okay, so I'll click on, I'll first select this. Okay, and then I'll just click on this, right click on this. And then if you look at this, there is a thing called as transform. Okay, and in transform, there are two things that we can do. There are many things, like we can convert lowercase to uppercase, uppercase to lowercase. We can make it a proper sentence case by clicking on capitalize each word. But what I want to do here is I would like to use this function called as trim. Now, if I use trim, what will happen is, now if you look at it, the spaces or white spaces basically, which are present at the start or at the end of the string or at the start or end of any value, will be gone. Okay, so the trim functionality removes the white spaces at the start and at the end. Okay, so that is one thing. And apart from that, still I'm seeing certain tabs here or the control characters here. So what I want to do, again, I'll right click on this, go to transform tab, and then I'll click on clean. Now what this thing does, it removes the control characters like tabs. Okay, basically. So that is what is supposed to be done. So this functionality, this text functionality, that is trim and clean, can be used if you see these kind of records and if you want to remove the starting and ending white spaces as well as control characters. Okay, and now let's go to the product. Again, have a look at this product brand. Okay, and what I want to do again in this case is I need to make sure that all the records are in proper sentence cases. So if I just have a rough look at it, everything seems to be in the sentence case. Yeah, but there are certain exceptions. If you have a look at this, this record is not at all in the proper sentence case. So I'd like to make sure that everything is in sentence case, and to do that, again, what I'll do, I'll right click on this. I'll use one more text function, that is, I'll click on transform. I'll click on capitalize each word. Okay, now you see each and every record is in proper sentence case. Okay, sentence case in the sense the first alphabet is capital, rest of the alphabets are in lowercase. Okay, so this is what we did with this column, and then again the type of the product is what this column gives us, and this column seems to be completely fine. And then go to this column, and here things get a bit interesting. Okay. Now, again, let's presume the business end, they want the length, depth, and width in separate columns. Okay, the records, they want these dimensions in separate columns in centimeters. So what are we supposed to do now? Quickly. This we did earlier as well.
And split column by delimiter.
Yeah, split column by delimiter, and the delimiter in this case would be what?
Space X space.
Exactly. So I'll click on split by delimiter, and the delimiter would be, I'll use, so you see by default it is showing space, but I need not use that. I'll just use this drop down and I'll use the custom. And when you select custom, it will actually allow you to enter the custom value. Now I'll enter space X space. Okay. Now I'll click on OK. Now you see this column is what? This is length in centimeter. Then this is depth again in centimeter. And the third one is width and that will be centimeter. So this is done now. And what I'll do next is I'll just convert these values, basically these data types, into numbers. Okay. And just by having a look at those, these seem to be the decimals. Okay. So I'll convert this to the decimal number and these two columns as well. So that's done. Okay. And yeah. Let me just move to the next column. That is this one. Again, here, I want the category and subcategory to be mentioned in two different columns. So again, what I'll do, I'll go to split by column, and again, there will be delimiter. And this time, the delimiter would be what it is. It is space, barrel, space. Space, barrel, just a second. Space, barrel, space. That's it. And now I have the category and subcategory in two different columns. Category, and this is subcategory. Makes sense. Okay. So yeah. So this is how we transform this particular table. Okay. And basically what we did is we have used certain text related functions. So we saw how to use certain text related functions right now. Okay. And now we'll try to also explore certain numeric functions, okay, while we are in Power Query Editor, okay. And let me just show you what exactly I mean. And one more thing, for you to use the numeric functions, the column should be numeric. Let me show you. Now, if you just click on the Transform tab, okay, now you see for each and every column, you'll be having the statistics. And in the statistics also, if the column is not numeric, you'll be having only two things that can be done, that is count the values and count the distinct values. However, if you click on or if you select any column involving the numbers, then you'll be having the statistics, the standard functions, as well as the scientific functions, trigonometric functions, and all these stuff. But we rarely use the trigonometric functions. I mean, not even rarely, we almost only if the project demands it, we can use it. However, I haven't come across any project in my career where I was using any trigonometric functions while being in Power Query Editor. Nonetheless, okay. So if I look at this now, okay, and if I go to the statistics, okay, so the thing here is that if I select these options, I will get exactly that. What I mean is that if let's say I select sum, okay, so what I'll get is this output. Now, what do you think this is? Yes,
Uh, Total sum of that
yeah,
length.
the total sum of that particular column that we had selected. Okay, but do we need this kind of representation? Our table is gone right, so we don't need that. Okay, thing is, we can use that just to have a look at what the sum is. So I'll just cancel that step and I'll be back to normal. Okay. Now let's say I again select this. I want to go to transform tab, and in the statistics, let's say I want to have a look at what the average value of this column is, or what the standard deviation of this column is. Just for the sake of it, if I just want to know it, I can just click on this. I can know the average value, and then I can note it, and again I can cancel the previous step so that I can go back to it. Okay, so this is what the statistic uh, aspect of the column is. Okay, so it gives you basically the statistics of that column. Then if I go to some standard functions, so what are the standard functions in this? You can add some number, you can multiply it with some number, subtract, divide, integer divide, so that you make sure that the output is always an integer, and then modulo. And modulo means you will basically get the remainder, okay, and you can see the percentages. Okay, let me just give you a simple example. Let's say the length is in centimeter. Okay, length is in centimeter, and if you want to convert it into meter, okay, let's say the length is in centimeter and the business end wants the length in meter, then what would you do? How would you get that? Yes, you
Sorry,
need to multiply all the values by what?
can you come again?
The length currently is in centimeter, but let's say the business end want the length values in meter. Then what you need to multiply it by? Multiply all the values by
100.
0.01, right? So 0.01, I'll use this and I'll multiply this. Okay. Now you see these values, which was earlier 5, this was earlier 5 centimeter, but what is 5 centimeter? It is 0.05 meter. Okay. So for these kind of operations, you can definitely use the standard uh, numerical functions. Okay. So these are nothing but the numerical functions that you can use to get certain mathematical outputs. Okay. So yeah, and let me just, this is completely fine. Now we'll try to have a look at some further operations. Okay. And in here, I would like to go back to orders 2017 table. Okay. Now here, this is older one. Let me just refresh the data. Yeah, it's loaded again. Now, if I have a look at the, all the columns. Now, let's say there are these two columns, which is promotion type and promotion type 2. Okay. Now, let's say business and wants. These two columns are basically these two information to be stuffed in a single column and the values to be separated by a hyphen. Okay, values to be separated by basically a dash. Then how can we do it? Okay, and that is actually again quite simple. What we need to do is we need to merge those two columns. Okay, and always remember, now we are talking about merging of two columns within a single table. This is completely different from merging the tables. Okay, and that we'll discuss later anyways. But right now what we are talking about is merging of two columns in a single table into a single column. Okay, so what I'll do is, first of all, I'll have to select these two columns. Okay, I'll go back to the home tab. Okay, and then I'll select these two columns. Okay, and then if you have a look at this, if I right click on this, okay, and if I click on, just a second, yeah, here, there's a merge column option. And if I click on merge column, now I can basically use a particular separator to separate these two values, and also I can use a new name. I would like to name it as promo type 1-2. Okay, that is what I'd like to name it as. And the separator that I'd like to use is a dash. Okay, so it is this what I want to use. Then I'll click on OK. Now you see what I'll be having is this one column which has the information of both promotion type 1 as well as promotion type 2 stuff in a single column, and the values are separated by dash. Okay, so this is what merging of columns within a single table looks like. Okay, so yeah, this is what it is. And then there is one particular concept I need to importantly discuss, and it is called the appending. Okay? The appending of tables. Now, I'll tell you what is meant by appending. Okay. Now, if you have a look at this table, right? Okay, this table has the order details of year, what year? 2017. Okay. But let's say your data team provides you the orders details for 2018 and 2019 as well. Okay. Then, being a BI developer, you need not use them as separate fact tables. You have to make sure that you bring all the details of the orders in one single table. That is the values or the records of 2017, then after that records of 2018, and after that records of 2019, one below another. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're vertically stacking the tables one over another. Okay, or basically we can say that the vertical stacking of columns one over another, and this process we call it as what? Appending. Okay, or appending of tables. Now, there are certain conditions to be fulfilled if you want the appending of tables to happen properly. Okay. Now, one important thing is that the table column names, the column names of the two tables that you are trying to append should be exactly same. And when I say exactly same, I mean it is case sensitive as well. The name should be same with respect to case sensitiveness. Only then the appending will happen properly. Else what will happen? It will consider the two columns as separate columns and the appending will not happen properly. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay? And also there's a thing that the column numbers should be same, because if the column numbers are not same, then in the resulting table, we will have non-uniform data. That is, from one table we have, let's say, 8 columns, from another table we have 9 columns. Then in the resulting table, there'll be null values. Okay, so let's see, and let's try to use the appending function. Okay, so for that, what I'll do is I'll try to bring one more table into this. I'll go to text CSV. I'll try to bring orders 2018. Okay. Open. And this is basically the preview of that. Okay. And I'll click on OK. And I'll just name it orders space 2018. That's it. And now, if you have a look at it, if you have a look at this table, there is some transformation that you want to do with it. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Yes.
Use first header.
First two as headers. So I'll use first two as headers. Now, next thing I need to make sure is the columns are same in this and this table that I want to append. Okay. So let's just go column by column. We have order ID here. We have order ID here as well. Then we have prod ID here. We have product ID here as well. Then we have store ID. We have store ID here as well. Then we have order date. And we have order date here as well. Okay. And then let's see, we have sales quantity, but this has order date too. Okay. And this is what I don't need, because this column is nothing but the same column, but it is mentioned once again here, just the format is different. So I don't want this column to be there. So I'll remove this, okay, from the second. Now I'll go to next one, that is the sales quantity. We have a column here, and here it is mentioned as sales, which is again the sales quantity itself, but it's fine. It's the same column basically. We'll come to the next conditions again, because as I said earlier, the column names are supposed to be exactly same. But right now we are just verifying the number of columns are same or not. Okay. After sales, we have revenue. So we have revenue here as well. Then after revenue, what we have? We have the stock. Let's check here. After revenue, we have stock here as well. And then we have price. Let's just have a look here. So after stock, again, we have price, makes sense. Then we have a column named bin here. Let's check here. Here we have, after price, we have a thing called as promo type 1. Okay. And if you look at the bin column, okay, so here there's a column called as promo bin. I think this is the one which is mentioned here as bin. Let me check the values. So bin, yeah, the values, if you see, very low, low, and moderate, high, these are nothing but the values which are there in the promo bin column. So it's fine. Then we have, after this, after bin, we have promo type 1-2. But here, if you have a look at it, we have promotion type 1 and promotion type 2 separately mentioned in two different columns. We will work on that. And then we have here the next column. What is it? The delivery date. That's it. Let's check here. Here we have delivery date in format 1 and delivery date in format 2. We don't need both. Also, we don't need promo bin 2 and promo discount 2. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just remove these columns. Okay. And I'll just use the delivery date, the first one. The second one, I'll just remove it. Okay. So now that I have removed this, one more thing that needs to be done with respect to this table. Can you tell me what is it? There's one thing that is missing in this table. Yeah. Can you think of it?
Yeah.
The data types. If you look at the data types, right? The data types are quite well established in this table. However, in this table, the data types are not established. So the data type also need to be same, else in the resulting appending column, appending table, the values will be non-uniform. So let's make sure the order ID is the whole number it looks like. Prod ID is string, correctly so. Same is the case with store ID. Order date needs to be the date data type. Sales need to be what we made the sales quantity here, whole number. So let's make sure it's a whole number here as well. Then about the revenue, I think we made it fixed decimal number. Let's check here. It's a fixed decimal number. Fixed decimal. I think same is the case with stock. Stock, let me check it. Stock, it is decimal number. So let's make it decimal number. And then we have price, which is fixed decimal number. And the promo type 1 is this, and promo bin is again a string. Promo type 2 is this, and the delivery date should be the date again. Okay. And now about renaming the columns. Now let me show you, if I don't name the the columns in the two tables as same, what is the problem with the appending function that we get? Okay, so I'll try to append it as it is, and let me show you what would the result be. So I'll select this table and I'll use the append queries. Okay, I'll click on append queries. The first table you have selected, it wants you to select the second table. The table to be appended is orders 2018. Click on OK. Now you see the thing that has happened here is, it quite seems okay unless you go to the right hand side. Now if you see, there is order ID, but there is also one more column called as order ID. Can you see this? Which has null values. And do you want this kind of appending to happen? You see? No, right? You want the order IDs to be a single column and the values to be appended one below another. Same is the case with prod ID as well, but we have the prod ID again as a second column here, which we don't want. Okay, and that's the reason I said the names should be exactly same. Okay, and now you see what I'll do. I'll try to name them as same, and parallelly you can see all these extra columns that you see here will be gone. Okay, let me show you. Now in the first table, if you see, it is named as order ID. O capital and ID capital. Okay, so let me do that here as well. So name it as ID. Okay, and just enter. Now you look at the appended table. That extra order ID column will be gone. Now can you see? It is gone because it has correctly appended below this column now. Okay. Same will do for the second as well. That is the prod ID. And here I'll go to orders 2018. I'll change it. We just check again the prod ID. Okay. So make sure it is same. Prod ID. That's it. And now you see here in the appended table, that column also will be gone. That extra column, see, the prod ID is gone. Now let's make sure that same is the case with the store ID as well. Store ID, I'll name it exactly like this. ID. So
Is cap.
the store ID also will be gone. Okay. If you see this, it is gone. Okay. Yeah. So what we have is sales now. Let's have a look at what's the way in which the sales is mentioned. I think it's the sales quantity, right? So I'll mention it as sales quantity here as well. Okay, let me check now this table. That is appended table, the extra sales quantity column should be gone. Yeah, you see here, that is gone. Okay, and then the promo bin one, I think we'll have a look at it. Promo bin one, but here in the first table, its name is what? It's just a bin. So I'll name it bin here as well. So where is it? It's somewhere here. Okay. So bin, I'll name it as, okay, enter. And then I'll go to appended column. And then you see there is that extra column promo bin will be gone. Okay. And then there is delivery date format 1, but in the original table, its name is what? I think it's just delivery date, delivery space date. So I'll make it same here. Delivery space date, done. And now even that column should be gone. Delivery date also is gone. Okay. So all I have here is the promo type 1 and promo type 2. And what I need to do just now is I need to make sure that I do exact transformation here as well with respect to promo type 1 and 2. So what I'll do is I'll select these two columns. And remember what we did with this? Merge columns. The separator would be what? The dash. And the column name was what? Promo type 1 dash 2, I guess. So 1 dash. Is it the same or it's a bit different? Let me just check. Promo type 1 dash 2. I think, yeah, it's exactly the same. So again, if you see now the promo type, those extra columns also are gone. So I hope you understand the process of appending now. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now if you see the order dates here should be having just a second, the order date, let me check. The order date is exactly same. So order date would be having the values of 2017 and 2018 as well. So if I just sort it descending, you see 2018 is there and 2017 is also there. Okay. So it basically has the values of both these columns. So let me just name it what? Orders, that's it. Okay. So this is what I'll do. And that is how I appended the two tables. So appending, as I said earlier, is vertical stacking of two tables, one over another, or basically vertical stacking of columns. Okay. So yeah, any doubt with respect to what we covered today or anything from earlier?
No. Okay.
Okay. Fine, then we'll just stop it here and we'll just continue in tomorrow's class. Okay. So first of all, I'll stop the recording.